Aloha. So I'm in between a couple of projects, and I don't really have anything ready for this week, and maybe not even next week. And so I thought this week I'd take a chance to go over some of my favorite pieces, as well as some of the questions that I've heard from a lot of the comments. So some of the big questions are the wood that I use, why I use that wood, and then the designs. So some of the pieces that I make have different designs, different styles. And so today I was going to kind of pick a couple of my favorite pieces that reflect me and my past, and that hopefully explain, why the pieces that I make look the way that they do. So let's get into it. So this is a Leono. This is a Hawaiian style weapon. Now, this piece is kind of unique. It's unique for a couple of reasons. One of them is the teeth that I'm using. So I don't know how well you can see that. Hopefully it's focusing. The teeth here are hemipristis teeth. So these are actually fossils. Making this one was a challenge. I didn't expect it to be so difficult to tap holes into the fossils. But man, it kicked my butt. So it took me probably at least, maybe 4 days, between 4 to 6 days, just to tap the holes in the teeth. The main reason for that is the teeth. So fossils are kind of like rock. And the larger fossils, like the megalodon teeth that I've used, those, they don't drill good. Like, they can take a hit. I've done some stuff with them, but they don't tap very well. They kind of shatter. But the larger teeth are still a bit easier to tap. You have more give. These teeth here, these hemipristis teeth, they are big teeth. These are huge. To give you an example, so this style Leono here, these are large, 1.25 inches, I think, are the size of these teeth. So large tiger shark. And even the large tiger shark are smaller than the hemipristis. So they're still big teeth, they're still large. They just, for their size as a fossil, don't tap very well. I saw a picture of these. So on Instagram, I follow divers and collectors, other artists, and one of the divers that I follow showed a picture of these. And oh man, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I have to make something out of that. Because look at this. So I hope you can see it. I hope it's not glared. So you can see the serrated edge on those teeth is just beautiful. Oh man, like these are just made to slice. It's kind of, there we go. And so I saw that, and I knew I had to make a piece. The first style piece that I wanted to make was a Pahoa. So a Pahoa is more of like a dagger or knife. There's different styles of Pahoa, but that was kind of the first image I had. But as I was looking at them, one of the challenges with them is they're so big that to make a piece, the Pahoa would have to be massive. And I didn't want to make a piece so large. But even this piece here, the paddle of this Leono is pretty wide. It wouldn't normally be this wide. I kind of had to do that as a result of the proportions between the size of the teeth and the overall look of the piece. So the wood here, this is Koa. So Koa wood is endemic of Hawaii. So what that means is it only grows in one place. So Koa wood only grows on the islands of Hawaii. And in fact, it even only grows at specific elevations. And so there's a few other trees in Hawaii that do that. So Kou, K-O-U, is a different style of wood. That also only grows in Hawaii, and it only grows at like 40 to like 200 feet elevation. So you get higher up in the mountains and it stops growing. So Koa Wood is similar to that. It's an endemic to Hawaii. It only grows at certain elevations. At one point, though, in Hawaii's history, Koa Wood was largely abundant. It's everywhere. It has some interesting properties. So it's a hardwood. It's a really tough hardwood. You may have seen some of my posts on Instagram where I compare it to, like a softer pine or something like that. But it's a dense hardwood, but it also is kind of brittle. So you can split it. And so Koa wood was used oftentimes for like canoes and old surfboards. And the reason why is, so they would make when they were carving a canoe, they would take a full log of koa. They're also one of the largest trees in Hawaii. And they would split it. And your center, your core, would be your canoe. And then the outer edges, they'd make for other stuff. Weapons, surfboards, tools, just various other things. And then koa wood itself has a really pretty shimmer. So even not all koa is curly. I wonder if I can find you. 1 second. The small section of koa, just a piece from another one that I've cut. You can see that it's not shiny at all. I might get some water. I wonder if you can kind of see it. So you see those lines? So even this piece still has a little bit of curl, but when you sand it out and oil it, you can see it better here. It's kind of hard to see. It shimmers. The koa shimmers. I wonder if I can get some water. Should have thought about this before, but I didn't. So you can see, yeah, look at that. So you see that shimmer? And then there's even some curl on that. So koa has a lot of colors, a lot of grades, a lot of densities, but even the lower grade is still beautiful. So for example, this would be a lower grade grain. It still has that beautiful sheen, that shimmer, and then you get the waves, that three-dimensional look. That's your curl. So there's a difference between your curl and the figure, spalting, different things that happen in your wood. But koa, because it just, regardless of what grade it is, it's so beautiful. It was used as a wood for royalty. There's a few other woods too, hardwoods in Hawaii that were used as royalty, but koa is one of the main ones. In fact, one of the groups of warriors in Hawaii, in ancient Hawaii, were Koa warriors. And the name is shared between the two, the wood and the warrior. The Koa warriors were an elite group of fighters. Similar to in today's military, you might have like, the Navy SEALs or special ops or whatever groups. There were different groups of warriors inside of Hawaii, and one of those groups were Koa warriors. Going back to Leono. So Leono, it means a lei. So like, you go to Hawaii and you get a lei of flowers. So a lei, and then mono is shark. So it's a lei of shark's teeth is what a leomono is. Now there's a lot of different weapons styles that might implement teeth, and when they do, they tend to include that into the name. So like a knuckle duster that has teeth around the outside would still have leomono in the name. But when you talk about a leomono, this paddle shape is the main style. Now on mine, I have feathers lashed into the wrist strap. That's a little bit more decorative. They did have feathers with their weapons back in Hawaii, but it usually wasn't a decorative piece. It was functional. So for example, if the feathers on here wrapped around and you cut someone, the blood is going to drip off the feathers and not get your hands wet, so you don't get slippery. I lashed mine into the wrist guard partially as decorative for style, and the other part is reminiscent of that more functional way. It's also how I learned. How a Leono was used is, now I'm not trained. So in Hawaii, there's a martial art called lua, and it's a very intense martial art. Now it was specific to the time and place, but it implemented everything from culture and day-to-day stuff to, things similar to MMA, where you have grappling and you have hooking, and so that there's a lot of things mixed into lua, and so it's actually a very spiritual thing for a lot of for Hawaiian natives, but it would have been for warriors what they trained every day. So for a leo mano, it's largely not a paddle. It's largely a knife, and so you would use cutting motions and slicing motions at vital areas, so on the neck, maybe at the tendons, and then on the back end, your pommel. The pommel is used for a lot of things. I mean, you could use it as a strike, so someone comes in, but it's also a good hook. So while they're fighting, someone comes in, you can hook into their arm, into their body, and so there's had a lot of function. One of the pretty sick things with these is it's kind of like a two-sided knife. So you start to break off teeth on one, flip to the other, and you have another blade. Even if you broke all the teeth off, though, I mean, it's still a hardwood. You still could do some damage. Hawaiian people were very, very good at using the materials and what they had on hand. So if they did have this on hand, I have no doubt they would have used it. But these teeth, I don't think are found over in the islands, so they probably wouldn't have it. So this is definitely a custom piece to me. I do have pearl inlaid into the handle. The diamond shape is really two triangles. I mean, it's the same thing, yeah. But the reason for that is just a symbolism of teeth and strength and courage. Artistically, I did it because I wanted to offset the size of this piece. It just had such a huge piece. I wanted to offset it with inlaid mother of pearl. So this is, now that you can see the curl on this piece is absolutely beautiful. So you see how it just reflects. So Koa there's more than just Koa wood that has curl. Curl is caused by a lot of things. There's natural curl, there's compression curl, there's burl. So a burl is like the knots, and oftentimes it's in the trunk and places like that. There's a lot of things that cause curl, but in Koa, it's just my favorite. It's beautiful. It looks three-dimensional. It shimmers. It just is the perfect mix of beauty and power, and into a weapon that's dangerous. So this next piece. So this is also a leono. Obviously a different style. So this piece actually was one of a few pieces I've made whose style very closely reflects a piece that's in a museum. So actually an archive piece from, I think, 1770, so a few hundred years old. And you can see the design on this, and this follows that piece. So there's a double ply going twice into each tooth. And these are tiger shark teeth, so different than the hemi-priestess. You can tell they're tiger shark because of the shape. But the overall design and shape of this piece is very much pulled from that archived image. You can see, though, this piece has the same curl, but it's a lot darker. What's really awesome with this piece is right here. I don't know if you can see that. So you see that line? So it even has a little bit of spalting on here. Making this piece was a challenge. One of the biggest difficulties with it is right where this lighter grain is right here, it actually is a little bit of wood rot. And so this section here, going from here to here, was softer koa. And then this side over here was really hard, dense. And so when I was trying to clean up these edges with my chisel, like no lie, I'm going in on it and tapping in, and it'd cut clean, all of a sudden I'd get stuck. And it's just because I'd go from that soft to that hardwood, you know, in seconds. So this style of Leono is functionally wise the same as the other one. It'd be used the same way. Slashing weapon, your pommel side. Now this is more of a spear end, so you could probably spear this in. So it's a multifunctional weapon. I have tested with this one. Now I haven't tested with the other piece because the fossils are brittle. And so I'm a little nervous that I'm gonna snap one of those in half. The modern tiger shark though, man, these teeth are tough. Very powerful. So this next piece is one of my favorites. So this is a beast of a piece. I think this full piece weighs close to 5 pounds, maybe 3, I think it was 5 pounds. So it's a pretty heavy piece. I mean, you couldn't swing it. What's funny is one of the comments I got was that, man, this is just way too big. Pieces like that weren't there. In Hawaii, no, there wasn't too many large pieces like this in Hawaii. Specifically this design, absolutely not. In Tonga has some awesome, not hammers, but what do you call it? Clubs that are just massive, just beasts. So some of the Polynesian islands did have like pretty big weapons. It wasn't uncommon. This piece right here is takes design influences from both Hawaii and Samoa. So the Samoan part of this is the nifo'oti. So the nifo'oti is a very traditional weapon to Samoa. It's specific to Samoa. Its design is a little bit different. So if this were more traditional shaped, this curled edge you might have here, but instead of this back edge here, what it would do is it would come up and then you'd have a hook. If anyone watches Lord of the Rings, the orcs, the knife that the orcs used was influenced from the nifo'oti, where it's a straight blade and it comes up and then it has a hook at the end. So the nifo'oti has a couple meanings. If I remember correctly, it kind of stands for like death of teeth or teeth of death or something like that. And so one of the things that I enjoy doing is once again taking influences from different Pacific Island places, actually really anywhere, and mixing in Hawaiian influences into those. So this piece here is made of Hawaiian koa, and it's actually a beautiful piece as well. It's lighter than those first two pieces, but you can see, I hope, yeah, you see that? Oh, dude, I love it. So that 3D effect is just beautiful. I love the look of the wood. There's some end grain right here. No curl on the end grain. So it's made of Hawaiian koa, and then for the shape, I use the teeth here. I have bull shark, so these are bull shark. So the first set of teeth were hemichrysis, the second set were tiger. These are bull. Bull sharks, you can kind of tell that they have this triangle shape. These are upper bull sharks, or the upper teeth. Lower bull shark are pointed, similar to a mako. but the bull shark teeth on here, I have tested with this one as well. Tested beautifully. Obviously, this back end side just works as a club. I mean, just straight force. The front end side, I mean, slashes really well. This piece is just a monster. I love it. One of my favorite pieces. It's also one of the pieces that really exemplifies my art, and the combination of these beautiful cultures and bringing them together. So this last piece, whose name I will 100% get wrong, is probably my favorite piece to date. So this, and if you've been watching my videos, you'll see this. So this right here is a Mayan weapon. Machadi? I can't pronounce it. I should be able to, but I can't. So this piece is me. If I were to transform myself into a piece, man, this would be me. This right here. So this piece here is made from megalodon. So these are megalodon teeth, smaller megalodons. I say small. These things are massive. So check this out. So the small teeth here, these are bull shark teeth. And then these big teeth are the megalodons. But these are small megalodons. And the small megalodons just dwarf the large modern bull and tiger shark teeth, which is crazy. So it's made with megalodon teeth, and these are actual megalodon fossils. And then offset in between are the bulls. The design, the overall shape and design, is based off of that Mayan weapon. So in my actual bloodline, I have something like 17%, and I did whatever DNA test stuff. But something like 17-20% Mesoamerican, and in that dates back to the Mayan civilization. And so I wanted to make one of those weapons for a long time. I just wasn't sure what I was going to do. In fact, originally I was going to make it with obsidian blades and then Koa wood. So the wood here is Koa. So I use Koa for pretty much everything. Koa is kind of my core medium. It's what I feel represents where I learned how to do this the most. I do use other woods, but very rarely. 99% of my work is done with Koa wood. So this is done with Koa. The teeth, though, originally I was going to use obsidian blades, because that's what ancient America used for a lot of their knives was obsidian. And the same guy, and I'll leave his Instagram in the link below, in the description below, but the same guy that I found the hemipristis teeth from, he had these, and so I contacted him. I was like, oh, I gotta get some. Like, that's gonna be epic. That is gonna be awesome. And so I had a lot of questions, and a lot of people mentioned, like, hey, those were made out of obsidian. I know they're made out of obsidian. But for this combination piece, I wanted to use teeth. But for a piece this large, I didn't want to use modern teeth because they're small. I wanted big teeth. I wanted it to be a beast. So I've actually done testing with this piece, and it worked really well. I got a lot of comments. People wanted to see me test with this some more. So if I can get up to 500 subscribers, I'm gonna test this on a half rack of ribs. It's actual. I might break a tooth, so that I'll have to fix. So, it's goals, right? Goals. You can see on here I have inlaid this abalone as well. So this design here, this specific design, is you see it in a lot of islands. In fact, I even had someone comment on my Instagram that said that they have a similar design as the Native American design that reflected lightning. I didn't know that. That was awesome. So I loved hearing that. My inspiration for the design came specifically from Hawaii, but there are a lot of other Pacific islands that use it. But my inspiration for it in Hawaii is it represents shark teeth. And so in like Hawaiian tattoos and various other designs, you'll see either a row of triangles or some type of combination of triangles. They have the eternal triangle, where it's, you know, triangle, 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 so that makes another triangle. So those types of designs. But they stand for a lot. So sharks in Hawaii were considered sacred. And so they represented power and strength. I mean, they're the predators of the ocean. They represented courage, safety, loyalty, love, all kinds of things that wrap into those designs. And so for me personally, for this piece, I wanted to embed and imbue the sense of courage and strength into this piece. Yeah, you can see that. So this piece right here, sorry, I want to see if you can, so you see that sheen. So that sheen, so there's a curl, you can see a little bit of curl on this piece. And there's some reflection from the light, but this area, you can kind of see the sheen move across the piece as the light catches it. That is Koa. Oh, I love it. Love this piece. This is awesome. So that's a little bit about me. My culture is kind of a mix. So I did a DNA test thingy just to see, you know, my ancestry, and it comes from everywhere. Like, I think my biggest percentage was like 25% or something. So for my art, what I like to do is I like to take the Hawaiian base of where I learn and the core, and use that as my main medium, and then I like to mix in other cultures, specifically in the Pacific Island chains, but really anywhere. I mean, this piece here is a mix of Hawaii and Mayans, so that's kind of my passion and what I love to do. So I thank you all for supporting me and for watching my boring videos. It's very helpful, it's appreciated, and I'm humbled that this many people have already started watching. It really is an honor. So I thank you, mahalo, and see you next time.